Hey, what's happening everybody? Pragmatic Addict here. Thank you guys so much for checking out this video. So, today we're going to be checking out Bones and All. So, I just got out of the theater from seeing this movie, and upon seeing it, I didn't really know at all what this movie was going for, and kind of rightfully so. And I just gotta say, I absolutely respect the gag of releasing this movie for Thanksgiving. I totally like that. I get it.
It's funny, it's ironic, I get that.
But again, I didn't really know what this movie was going for. Based off of like the promotions for it, I kind of got the vibe that it was going to be like the next like teen horror love story based off of a novel, like kind of like the next like Warm Bodies. I haven't seen Warm Bodies, so I wouldn't know if that's an exact, good description, but you get what I'm kind of saying. The next kind of like, movie in that vein. And it is actually, and you definitely feel it with this movie. So Bones and All introduces us and follows the story of a girl named Marin, who has a very sheltered life. She lives with her dad, and she lives in like a very kind of like closed off, gritty looking town. And that reminds me, I don't really know where this film takes place as far as like year wise. I kept wondering that throughout the movie, and I just haven't looked it up. But she lives a very sheltered life with her dad, and we soon realize that she has a very limited kind of like isolated life because she is a cannibal. And basically where this film's really centerpiece is that this is a kind of like road trip movie where something happens with this girl in the setup, which I gotta say, holy fuck, was this setup effective. And really just the suspense in general in this movie. There isn't as much suspense in this movie that I was hoping for, even that like, the trailers were possibly kind of like, showing off. But once it is there and when it, is focusing on that, the suspense in this movie, I will say, it is very anxiety inducing and very effective. But basically what happens is that there is a setup where this girl is at a sleepover. It's her first sleepover that she, I think, has ever been to. She's not allowed to go to sleepovers because of, again, her kind of, her story. And when she goes to the sleepover, obviously something very fucked happens. And basically her dad reaches a limit where he's like, look, I don't know what to do. You've had this your whole life. I can't help you. Skedaddle, you're 18. And he basically leaves in the morning where this girl is now on her own. And not only is she on her own, but she is, on her own in the real world. She has, and that's what I really liked about this movie is that this isn't just like a coming of age story about this girl, trying to figure out like her roots and everything and her origins, which it is that, she basically goes on, out into the world and she finds other cannibals that, meet her because cannibals that are more experienced and more, up to, terms and, aware of their conditions and everything. They tell her, like, well, as you get older, like, you can learn to smell better from, like, miles away. You can smell other eaters. And, what I liked about this movie is this girl, Marin, she's both trying to come to terms with herself as a cannibal, but also is getting her first taste of the actual real world. So there's times in this movie where she's going, across the states, finding connections to her family, to her roots, to, other people that maybe, passed on this, condition to her. And I gotta say, this movie, again, it definitely feels like you definitely get the sense that this was based off of a novel. It is, like, from the direction to the narratives to the tone to the pacing, they're pretty good, especially the directing and the pacing. I will say this, going back a second to, like, what I said, how this does, you do get the sense that this is, like, a teen love horror story. This has every fucking trope of a love story. And again, I wouldn't necessarily call this a horror film. It is definitely anxiety-inducing. It is gross. There is some solid gore in it, and the suspense, when it is focusing on that, it does it really well. It is just an overall well-directed adaptation for the most part. But goddamn, there are some cliches up the ass crack in this one. Like, for example, there's this guy named Sully, and I just absolutely hated everything about this character. His portrayal, his direction, his design as a character. It was the most cliche thing in the film to me, and it happened very fast, which definitely didn't, give me a good impression right off hand, because I really liked the setup. But after that, there were times where I almost wanted to walk out of this movie. I really did. But I'm like, well, it's certified fresh and it's 130 minutes. I got to give it the benefit of the doubt and just see as a critic. Which I will say, I actually, the more this movie went on, the more I kind of accepted and was actually, going with it. But there's this guy, for example, named Sully. And holy shit, is he just the most cliche fucking character ever written. So, like, there's this scene in the movie where as soon as she gets abandoned, she's out in her real world. It's like a stormy night. It's like late at night. She finds this old creepy guy in a fucking tux or some shit staring at her. And he's like, oh yes, my name is Sully. I am a cannibal. I can smell you from miles away. And I have one rule, and it's not to eat other eaters. And he kind of like takes her under his wing. He's got like rotten teeth. He's always got like a toothpick. Wearing like some creepy fucking exorcist shirt, like outfit and shit. I just didn't like him. And plus, just throughout the film, he's just a very uncomfortable character. Not in the sense of like he gets under your skin. He's just creepy. Like, I'm just like, yeah, this guy's gonna be in the new season of To Catch a Predator, ain't he? Like, he does some weird shit in this film, and just his overall character, how he kind of comes in and out, and how he talks, calls himself Sully, which is constantly like addressed in this movie. Like, Marin's always like, stop calling yourself Sully, stop talking to yourself like you're different from other people, blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, I mean, the story, it's fine. It's directed fine. What is all this shit? But stepping aside from my criticism just for a little bit, I do want to talk about the horror in this movie, because obviously who the fuck doesn't want to know about that? So what I ended up like growing really attached to in this movie was like, I guess, the chemistry between characters. One thing I really liked about it is that, like, whenever there was a character interacting with either Timothée Chalamet's character, Lee, or Marin, because these two are cannibals, and, along the way, she ends up meeting Lee, played by Timothée Chalamet, who is a cannibal, and he kind of, like, shows her the ropes. It's this coming-of-age story where they both have really fucked up backgrounds, that are kind of on the road together. It's that stereotypical love bullshit. But one thing that you're really gonna like about this movie, and what's really gonna grab you as far as the suspense goes, is that whenever they're talking to a character, it doesn't matter if it's a good character, if it's in a public place, if it's in the middle of the day, if it's at a fucking carnival at the beach, you never know. Like, they could just be talking about fucking hot dogs, and you're just like, that's a symbolism for eating meat. This guy's fucked. And I gotta say, this movie was so anxiety-inducing because of the score. It does so well with that as far as the tension goes, because there's a lot of cuts in this film and a lot of directing where it, like, sometimes it does come off as jump scares. There's a few very effective jump scares in here where I'm just like, okay, look, as a jump scare, you get a pass, because that was completely off the wall and unexpected. Holy shit. But there's times where they'll just be, like, talking, and then out of nowhere, they'll just start feasting, and that gore, and usually the execution and how that is handled, is not only very gory, but it is very just, it is very just assertive. It is 100% what it is. You definitely get a lot of the horror here from a psychological aspect. And yeah, this movie, it's just, when it comes to its suspense, not only is it, well handled, well executed, and whenever it is there, and even like throughout the movie, I think about it now and I'm like, there is not that much suspense, but the whole movie itself is very tense, because you never know when that's going to happen, because it really could happen at any time, because this film actually allows itself to do that, and it generally does it, executes it really well. But there are things just overall in this movie that feel equally just as fucking random as they do well-paced and well-directed. Again, this is a love story. It's a coming-of-age story about, and with the idea and the, premise of this girl kind of, seeing the real world for the first time, going on this road trip. There's plenty of, again, cliche-ass, love horror story tropes and just cliche, just bullshit where you're like, okay, yeah, this is definitely from like a 30-chapter book. Where there's so much that goes on, and, it's very hard to keep track of it all, because it does go from one thing to another, and not in the sense of where it's very fast, but just you kind of like forgive it and kind of don't really catch it, and you kind of like get that feeling where it's like, well, maybe it's just my bad because I just was so caught in how well directed and well paced the movie is overall. But there were many times in this movie where I was like, wait, what happened to that one dude? Or like, wait, how did we get here again? Damn it, stop looking so pretty and being so well directed. Your script, it's going wherever while the pacing and directing is just staying in the same place. And that was definitely an issue. I do feel like it is not a bad story and it is well directed and well paced, but the script, not only is it overly long, but it goes to some really good areas, but you don't get the full reward and the full, like, I guess climax and sensation of actually, going from place to place, because it does feel very sporadic of a movie. And overall, I am going to give this one a mixed review. But yes, guys, that is going to do it for my review of Bones and All. Let me know what you guys thought about this movie. If you guys have read the novel, let me know how that is. I'm not going to read it myself, but I do think that this one was pretty well in a lot of areas. But with all that being said, guys, I'm going to wrap it up here. Let me know what you guys thought about the review, and I hope you guys are having a great day and are having a good week and are going to have a good holiday tomorrow. I'll check back with you guys very soon in my next review. Take care.